So this is my interactive notebook I'm going to show you. I decided to do it in a video just because I thought it would be easier to explain the choices that I made with it through videos. Let me just switch this camera around. If I can, okay, there we go. So this is my notebook. If you can see that is the front page. And then I chose for mine, when you open it up, sorry, I'm going to try and hold this where you can see it. On the first page is the table of contents, and right now, all I really have in it are the 3rd grade standards and what I'm calling Unit 1, which would be the ecosystem unit, because that is the lab that we're doing. So I put in about 4 pages of table of contents because I thought that is how much, if I were doing this in a real 3rd grade classroom, which I am planning on doing that for student teaching next semester, that's the amount of contents I thought I would need. In my notebook, I have all the standards. My students wouldn't have that in their notebook. So those are the standards. I decided to organize my notebook by unit rather than by a section for homework and a section for vocabulary and stuff like that. I wanted to do it by unit. So each unit will have a tab, and I've only started with the ecosystem unit so far. So if you flip to that tab, this front page and the back page would be for class notes. I didn't take any notes because I haven't actually taught this in a classroom, but in my interactive notebook, the first few pages will all be for notes that they take in class on the material that we're learning. One of my extras that I chose to do was a daily journal. I thought about doing a daily warm-up, but realizing that I'm in a 3rd grade classroom and we teach all subjects, I didn't think that I would do a daily warm-up for science every day, but I could do a journal in science every day that we do science. So my daily warm-ups fold out like this so that it fits on one page, or daily journals, sorry, not warm-ups. Then the next page would be for vocabulary, and I could have as many pages for vocabulary that I wanted. And then the rest of the unit pages would be taken up by the labs. So the lab that I've done for the ecosystem unit was the column. So on the left side, I have the page that you gave us, the scientific method. I haven't filled out the bottom part yet because we haven't gotten to that part. We haven't been through all the 3 weeks, but I did fill out the part already. I talk about the materials that I bought, the procedure that I went through, my hypothesis, my question, and my research observation. And I decided to fold it up so nothing sticks out. And then for the pages that I put my drawings on, for my week 1, I drew my column. All of my critters are alive, and I just took some notes on what it looks like. And then I've only done 2 of them so far, 1 per week. And sadly, today when I woke up, all of my critters were dead. The fish are dead and the crickets are dead. So I don't know what happened, but I just recorded that, and I'm going to do some research to maybe see why that died and what I could have done differently. So that's it for this unit, and I think that's how I would want each of my units to go, would be notes page, daily journals, vocabulary, labs. And then if we don't finish anything, typically in my 3rd grade classroom, we don't send homework that's science related. We always try to do that in class so we can provide the help that they need. So I just have an unfinished work folder at the back, and I went ahead and made tabs for all of the units that I plan on doing in 3rd grade. But I haven't put them in yet because I wanted to add the tabs as we go through. That way the pages won't be off. And then another extra that I chose, or this wasn't an extra, this is just the grading rubric. I would put this on the very last page of everyone's notebook. I thought about putting it on the back, but I didn't like the idea of my students' grades just being out there. So last page. And I'll grade those every 6 weeks. And then my other freebie is this Am I Really Done poster that I stuck to the inside because I've noticed that my 3rd graders really like to just slap work on a page and say that they're done when it's not their best work. So I wanted to put that in there so that they could always, before they tell me that they're finished, they flip to the front of their notebook and they go through their checklist to make sure that they really are done. And then all of my pages are numbered all the way up to page 200, and I would have my students do that. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is instructions for my students. I decided not to do written instructions because at this point in the year, especially because we would be setting up this interactive notebook at the beginning of the year, my 3rd graders are not very autonomous. And I find that if I just put a bunch of instructions on the board, that they would rush through them and they would not be what I expected them to be. So especially with it being the beginning of 3rd grade year, I would want to give these instructions orally, and I would only give them one instruction at a time. For instance, we might start off by numbering all the pages. And I would go around and I would check and make sure that all the pages are numbered correctly so that we can all be together. Because the idea of these notebooks, I really want us all to have the same pages for each thing so that it's easy for me to grade and it's easy for them to study. So that's how I would do the directions for the students. I would not write them down and type them up and put them on the board and just let them go. I would do one thing at a time. So I would start with pages, and then we would move to maybe, I think I would, because we only get 30 minutes a day in science, I think I would start out by doing one thing a day. So the first day would be like cutting out things and numbering things, and then the next day would be coloring in things, and the next day would be gluing the things in and that kind of thing. So, but I think that is everything, and I do plan on using these notebooks in my 3rd grade class when I take over for student teaching next semester. I'm not sure which units I'm going to be doing yet, but they're all in the back. Their tabs are all ready to go. So I'll be ready to do that with my students. So that's all. Thank you.